Hey everyone, welcome to Double Puzzle Monday. We're gonna do the daily one for Clues by Sam and also the last evil one, the last one from Puzzle Pack number 1 that Clues by Sam has launched. And there's also a second puzzle pack already launched, but we're not going into that yet. We're gonna finish the first puzzle pack today, but first we're doing the easy one. And if you don't know what Clues by Sam is, it's a daily logic puzzle game where there are 20 people on a board and each of them may be a criminal or an innocent, and you gotta figure out what each person is using the clues that they themselves might give you. We are here doing this every day, and if you want to try as well, today is a good day to start with the daily one. There is a link in the description to take you to it, and if you want to do it along with me, then let's start right now. We start with Tina saying that exactly 2 of the 4 instances neighboring Frank are in column B. Frank is up here in column A, and he has 3 people neighboring him in column B. 2 of them are innocents, but there has to be 2 more innocents neighboring Frank, and those 2 can only be Amy and Katie in column 1. Column A. See, that's why I switched them up. Now let's see what Amy says. Flavor text. Katie says that Ike is one of 2 innocents in column D. So we know that Ike is an innocent for sure. And since there's 2 innocents only in column D, and Tina, who is also an innocent, is also in column D, everybody else is a criminal. And we don't need Katie's clue anymore. Now, Ike tells us that exactly 2 innocents to the left of Olaf are neighboring Martin. Well, one of them is Katie. The other person can only be Nancy. She's to the left of Olaf and also neighbors Martin. So Nancy has to be an innocent. And now Nancy tells us there are as many innocent clerks as there are innocent guards. How many clerks do we have in total? Well, we know there's 2 innocent guards because all of the guards on the board neighbor Frank, and all of them are in column B, and we know that only 2 of them are innocents. So clerk number 2, who's Frank, has to be the second innocent clerk to match the number of guards. We don't need Nancy's clue anymore. Now Frank tells us that both criminals in row 4 are connected. Row 4 is down here, and there's 3 people who haven't been revealed yet, but the only one of them who is connected to any other is Ryan, so he's the one that has to be one of the criminals. And let's leave that clue there to remind us that either Peter or Stella are the second criminal here. Ryan now tells us that exactly one of the 2 painters has an innocent directly to the left of them. Well, we have 2 painters total. One of them is Olaf, and he already has an innocent to the left of him, so I couldn't have, which means that Hope is a criminal. And now Hope tells us there is only 1 innocent below Martin, and that can only be Wanda. Now Wanda tells us that Frank is the only one on the edges with 4 innocent neighbors. So that means that either Peter or Tina. Well, Tina couldn't have 4 innocent neighbors because she already has 2 criminal ones on the total 5 that she has. So I guess Peter is our next. Investigation. But could both Vicky and Martin be criminals? They could. What we know for sure is that Peter has to have at least 1 more criminal neighbor. We have Wanda too, but Wanda already has a second criminal neighbor here in row 4. Who else? It has to be Peter. Could Martin be an innocent? If Martin were an innocent, Vicky would have to be a criminal, right? So that Peter wouldn't have 4 innocent neighbors. But the opposite is true as well. Vicky could be an innocent and Martin a criminal. What about Katie? Katie has 1 criminal neighbor. There's Bruce too. Bruce couldn't have both Carl and Gary be innocents. Oh, this is supposed to be an easy one. What am I missing? Was a clue talking about Martin some time ago, right? 2 instances to the left of Olaf are neighboring Martin, but this clue doesn't tell us that Martin isn't an innocent. It just talks about the people neighboring Martin, so I thought this clue could have told us that Martin was an innocent, but it didn't. Frank is the only one on the edges with 4 innocent neighbors. I think I'm not seeing something obvious here. And I think it may be about Katie, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Because Katie for sure... Nah, not for sure. Katie could have 2 innocents here, but she could have 1 criminal neighbor shared with Frank. And even if she had 2 innocents here, Peter could be a criminal. So I think we're gonna have to tag stuff to make sure, right? Let's think about Martin, because Martin is shared by a lot of people here on the edge who could have 4 criminal neighbors, 4 innocent neighbors. So if Martin were an innocent, right? Katie now has 2 innocent neighbors. Peter now has 3, which would make Vicky a criminal. Vicky doesn't interfere with anything. Who? Frank is the only one on the edges with 4 innocent neighbors. I guess we can try to make Vicky an innocent and see if that works, because if Vicky is an innocent, Martin will be a criminal. That solves Peter. That solves Katie. That solves Frank. If Vicky is an innocent, if Vicky is a criminal, Martin could be an innocent. That's Peter solved as well. But now Katie has 2 innocent neighbors. So that wouldn't make these 2 innocents. Someone here will have to be... I don't know where to look. Could Bruce... This is an easy one. That's what's shocking me, because there's something really obvious that I'm not seeing. Bruce. If Bruce is a criminal, let's say that. These 2 guys will be innocents. Frank has his 4. Katie has 3. That will make Peter an innocent. A criminal, sorry. Because Katie can't have 4. And that would also make Vicky a criminal. Stella will be an innocent. There's nobody else at risk of having 4 innocent neighbors. Carl couldn't have 4. He has 2 criminal ones. Bruce would need to have Carl as a 2nd criminal neighbor. Olaf has 3. So Stella couldn't be. See, I told you it was something obvious. Olaf has 3 innocent neighbors, so Stella couldn't be an innocent. She has to be a criminal, which makes Peter an innocent. There's only one criminal in column A. It has to be Vicky. Vicky says that row 5 has more criminals than any other row. Well, row 5 so far has 2 criminals, but row 4 already has 2, so row 5 has to have more than that, which means that Xena is a criminal as well. And there's no 3 criminals in row 1. Someone here is an innocent. Xena now tells us that there are more criminals in row 2 than row 3. Okay, so these have to be one or the other because so far they have the same number of people, of rows, which means that Bruce is an innocent because there has to be 2 innocents in column B neighboring Frank. And since we knew that yeah, that doesn't make Carl anything, I don't think. Unless Gary is an innocent. Oh yeah. If there are more criminals in row 2 than row 3, then Gary has to be a criminal. And now Gary tells us there are 11 innocents total. How many do we have already? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Carl has to be an innocent as well. Ooh. Ooh. 10 minutes? Let's see how bad I do at the evil one then. Okay. So, we have puzzle number 50 from the puzzle pack number 1 here. And this is an evil one. I can see that I'm rusty for some reason. So, we shall restart this to get the timing right and go with Irving, telling us that Isaac's one of 2 or more criminals below him. Irving tells that Isaac, who is right below him, is a criminal. There may be 3 though, because he says 2 or more. Isaac tells us that all criminals below Alice are connected, so Nancy has to be the second criminal here, but we don't know if Terry is the third one or not yet. Nancy tells us that only one of the 2 criminals to the right of Terry is Xavier's neighbor. So Terry is the last one in column A, and that makes Xavier the person in the same row as him, but there's 2 criminals to the right of him. One of them is Xavier, and the other one is either Vince or Zach. That's what the clue says. Xavier now says that he is one of 2 criminals in row 5, so there's only 2, which means that Terry is an innocent. We don't need Irving's clue anymore. Now Terry tells us that only one of the 3 criminals neighboring Xavier is Zach's neighbor. So Xavier has 1 criminal neighbor here, which means that there's 2 more in row 4 neighboring him. Where's Zach? Here. So either Paula or Sophia are gonna be the second one, and the third one can only be Olive. Now Olive tells us that Sophia and Terry have an equal number of innocent neighbors. True. Sophia has 5 people neighboring her. Terry has 2 criminal ones. If Terry had 3 criminal neighbors, Zach would be an innocent, and Sophia would still have 3 people. But she already has 1 criminal neighbor, so there's no blocker there. If Vince were an innocent, Zach would have to be a criminal. And Sophia still has 3 people, one of which could be an innocent. So how does that help? Sophia and Terry have an equal number of innocent neighbors. Oh, now I'm kind of scared because I was slow at the first one, the easy one. Three criminals neighboring Xavier's ex-neighbor. Yeah, that's okay. Do we try to make Sophia something? Because I don't see anything else. Can we make Sophia a criminal? If she were a criminal, Paula would be an innocent. Oh, I clicked on Xavier. Three criminals neighboring Xavier. So that's okay still. But now Sophia has an innocent neighbor, which means that Terry has to have at least one. And it would have to be Vance, which would make Zach a criminal. If Zach were an innocent, that would force Vance to be a criminal. And that breaks, because now Terry doesn't have any innocent neighbors and Sophia has one. There's no way for Terry to have the same number of innocent neighbors as Sophia, so Zach couldn't be an innocent. Nice, nice. Now Zach tells us that both innocents in column D are connected, so there's only 2 innocents here in this column. And Vance tells us that Lisa and Paula share an odd number of innocent neighbors. Lisa and Paula share 4 neighbors, and not number of them is innocent. So that means that either all 3 of these guys are innocent, or just one of them. Could Jason be the only innocent? He could. That would be one innocent neighbor and a number of innocent neighbors shared between them. If only one person in column D were an innocent, it would have to be Sophia. Because Sophia it would have to be Maria. Because Sophia would have to be the second innocent, or Henry would have to be the second innocent connected. So if Maria is an innocent, that makes Jason and Sophia both innocents. Or not actually, because if Maria is an innocent, that makes Henry a possibility. If Jason and Sophia are not innocents. Where's my head today? I'm having such a hard time. Don't need Xavier School anymore. We gotta think about the fact that Sophia only has one innocent neighbor. Or do we not? I guess we don't, because it could be Lisa or Paula. The fact is that Sophia is gonna have one innocent neighbor. It could be Lisa or Paula. And then Maria be a criminal. And that would make Jason a criminal. Or Jason could be an innocent. There's no reason why Jason couldn't be an innocent. Or is there? That would make Lisa and Paula one or the other for sure. What if Paula were a criminal? That would make Sophia an innocent, right? And that will break because Sophia would still need to have one innocent neighbor. It could be Lisa. Nah, it couldn't be Lisa. You would have to be Maria. Because Zach tells us that both innocents in column D are connected. So if Sophia is an innocent, Maria has to be an innocent. And that will make Jason an innocent because Lisa and Paula have to share an odd number. Okay, that's fine. If Paula is a criminal, if Paula is an innocent, Sophia is a criminal. And now Maria couldn't be an innocent because Sophia's single innocent neighbor is Paula. So that will make Jason an innocent as well because either way, Lisa and Paula have to share an odd number of innocent neighbors. So independently of what Maria and Sophia are, Jason has to be an innocent, right? Can we try to prove that? Can we make Jason a criminal? Jason is a criminal. Somebody here has to be an innocent. Could it be Maria only? If it were Maria only, that will make Paula and Lisa both criminals. Because Sophia can only have one innocent neighbor. But Sophia could be a criminal as well. So that works. Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't because now Paula and Sophia are both criminals when one of them has to be an innocent. So yeah, Jason always has to be an innocent. Ooh. I'm so afraid of making a mistake now. Jason says that Lisa has exactly 4 innocent neighbors. So we know that she has one here. She's gonna have a second one down here. Who's either gonna be Paula or Sophia. It could be both Maria and Sophia, the second and third one. It could be none of them. Is that it? If Paula is an innocent, that makes both Sophia and Maria criminals. And that would put 2 innocents up here. Could one of them be Henry? It would have to be because there has to be 2 innocents in column D. So it would have to be both Henry and Donna. If Paula were a criminal, that would make Sophia and Maria innocents. And both Henry and Donna criminals because there's only 2 innocents in column D. And then somebody else here would have to be an innocent for Lisa. So what did we find out there? Four. We found out that Lisa is always a criminal. Not with that, but with the fact that either Paula or Maria are gonna be an innocent. That makes Sophia unable to have Lisa as an innocent neighbor. Lisa tells us now that Gary and her share an odd number of innocent neighbors. Sharing neighbors left and right here. Gary and her share 4 neighbors as well, and an odd number of them are innocents. So we know that the scenario Oh, we don't know yet, actually. Scenario was if Paula is an innocent, Sophia and Maria are criminals, then Gary and Lisa would have to share Freya and Henry as innocents to make an odd number. Jason, Freya, and Henry, that's 3. If Paula were criminal, Sophia and Maria would have to be innocents. And that will make Henry a criminal. And then Gary would still have to share Freya as an innocent with Lisa to make an odd number. So Freya is always an innocent. Ooh, I'm tense. Freya now says that there's an odd number of innocents neighboring Carol. So that makes it so that either, because we just said that either Henry and Donna are both innocents, that makes 3, or none of them. And even if none of them, now we have Gary. But we know that Lisa's innocent neighbors are either, to make 4, right? Are either going to be Paula and Henry or Maria and Sophia. So Gary couldn't be an innocent. He has to be a criminal. So that goes along with what I was saying, that either Donna and Henry are both innocents. And that makes 3 for Carl. There's an odd number. Or none of them are. And then that makes 1 for Carl with Freya. In none of those situations, Barb could be an innocent. So she's a criminal. And now Gary tells us that Vince and him have an equal number of criminal neighbors. Vince has 1 criminal neighbor. Gary has 2. Oh, I'm reading criminal and looking at innocence. That's terrible. Gary has 2 criminal neighbors and Vince has 3. If both Henry and Donna were criminals, there's no way for Vince to have the same number of criminal neighbors than Gary. Or is there? Well, there is if Carl were an innocent. Now Gary has 4 and Vince could have 4. This works totally. If these 2 were innocents, though, the paths I'm taking are just crazy. If these 2 were innocents, though, Maria would be a criminal. Sophia would be a criminal. And that breaks because now Vince has 3 criminal neighbors total, and Gary has more than that. 1, 2, 3. Nah, because of Carl. Carl could be an innocent. Carl could be a criminal. How does that work now? Carl could be an innocent. He would have to be an innocent. Not to break Gary. Was he an innocent before? I forget. Yeah, because Gary already has 2. So if Gary were to have 2 more here, Vince would have to have 1 more here. And Carl would be an innocent. Carl's always an innocent. I'm getting there. Trust. I'm getting there. Carl now says that Vince and him have an equal number of innocent neighbors. So Vince has 1 innocent neighbor. And we know that Carl could either have 3 or just 1. There's no way for Vince to have 3, so that means that Carl can only have 1, which means that both Donna and Henry are criminal. And both Maria and Sophia are innocent. And that makes Paula a criminal. And now Donna tells us that Nancy and Barb have an equal number of innocent neighbors. Nancy has 3 innocent neighbors, so we know that Barb could only have 3, and she already does. So Alice is a criminal. Oh, oof, that was crazy. Crazy, nice, tense. A lot of not that much tagging this time, but a lot of remembering the possibilities of what could have been and what couldn't. So I like this one. It's good practice. I love when we can practice different mechanics. Sometimes it just is that you're not gonna be able to tag a lot of things. Doesn't matter how many different features you develop. I mean, I guess you could develop a way or a game style in which your tagging pertains to just characters that are the same instead of characters that are one or the other. That could be done. But my brain's already trained for tagging, meaning that a character is one and the other one is the opposite. So that's why I don't do tagging when characters are the same. But there could be a way that either I switch playstyles when it's beneficial, or the game could introduce a feature that allows me to have different types of tags, but I'm not asking for that. I'm just reflecting of about how different playstyles work and what can make a game seem harder if you're not used to a certain playstyle or not. So that's why it's good to have different practice and different scenarios and yeah, games with games that allow different playstyles to thrive in different days. That's good. I hope that makes sense. I'm really happy about this. Sorry about that whole the easy one was just a show. But I'm gonna leave this here for today and I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know how it went for you in the easy one, how faster you were than me, and I'll be back here again tomorrow with more Clues by Sam. Bye.